Welcome to Focus on the 5, conversations with Baldwin County business leaders and entrepreneurs, brought to you by Josh Knoll of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. And now, Josh Knoll.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Focus on the 5, conversations with Baldwin County, Alabama area entrepreneurs and business leaders. I'm your host, Josh Knoll of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. We are coming to you today from the studios of WABF 1480, located here in beautiful downtown Fairhope, Alabama. Well, my guest today started his adult journey as a starving music artist, but he quickly discovered that his path was leading him elsewhere. That path eventually took him through Air Force duty, the National Background Investigations Bureau, which is a whole lot of vowels, and to now where he is today, the branch manager for Acopia Home Loans based here in Daphne. So let's give a warm welcome to the show, Mr. Ross Sykes. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Josh. Doing great.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, I want to jump right in for the first part of the show on what is Acopia Home Loans. Let's talk about them. What all services do y'all offer?
And pretty much we offer mortgage services for first-time home buyers or individuals looking for investment properties, looking to possibly buy a condo or just buy a different home, whether they're upsizing or downsizing.
Okay.
And we're focused pretty much what Acopia is all about is a company of people in action, and that's what it stands for.
So hold on, say it again. Acopia stands for?
A company of people in action.
Okay. And how long has the company been around?
We've been around for approximately about 6 years.
6 years. So when it was founded 6 years ago, that was with intentionality.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know the founder? Is he still active or she?
Yes. It's a family-owned business.
Okay.
It's faith-based, which is really awesome, which was a true fit for me. They're based out of Memphis, Tennessee, and, they recruited me probably about 3 years ago, and through that, eventually I joined along to share their journey with them to be able to help people who are looking to whether buy a home or refinance their home.
Well, you say they recruited you. Were you already in the mortgage business at that point?
I was in the mortgage business. Step-footed and right here, and actually I was over in Mobile, Alabama, as coming in as a new person into the mortgage industry. And after my first few months there's an individual, Mike Carey, who kept in contact with me and said, Ross, you'd be a perfect fit for us. You should come over.
Okay.
So loyalty is a big thing for me. So I didn't want to just come into a mortgage company and leave it. So I stayed until it reached a point where the opportunity I couldn't pass up. So,
well, was part of that opportunity being back over here, a little more locally focused on the Eastern Shore?
Yeah, and I wanted to basically work and live in the community that I live in, to be involved in the community I'm in, and that's what made the transition to here. They guaranteed me a location here in Baldwin County, Alabama, and that was the huge selling point, which I was along for that ride.
Well, all right. So you made mention that they are a faith-based organization.
Correct.
So that would have been one thing that appealed to you, right?
Absolutely.
There are a lot of mortgage lenders out there. I mean, outside of the faith-based, what do you think makes them unique? What do you think is, what makes them stand out compared to other mortgage lenders?
I believe it's more their mission. They actually care, and they take their time and due diligence to give you the support and tools you need to be able to make sure people are taken care of. And the programs that are offered there, you do not see many of these programs throughout the entire mortgage industry. And that's pretty much been a huge value prop for me in this market because of the different programs they have, such as the Honor Our Heroes program, which we push home with every day. And it basically gives back to our local heroes, whether they're first responders, firefighters, police officers, teachers, veterans, medical professionals, anybody in our community they're looking to buy. For those individuals, we waive lender fees.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
You're talking several $1,000s, right?
Possibly could be up to
depending on the house, right?
Yes, depending on the house.
So Honorary Heroes program. So that's a unique program to Acopia, correct?
Yes.
What other do y'all have any other services related around that? I mean, is it more what other programs do y'all have?
I mean, we have first-time home buyer programs. Of course, you have the FHA Loan, which is a first-time home buyer type loan, which helps individuals get into the home. That's usually requiring a little bit of money out of pocket for those individuals. It's usually about 3.5% down. We have conventional products starting as low as 3% down. Also, we have a 100% finance product, which is with no mortgage insurance.
Really?
Yes.
How's that work?
Basically, you have to have a certain score, of course, 680 or above. And as long as your debt-to-income ratio is under 50%, you qualify. And basically, it's like a traditional conventional loan where you would have 3% down, but that 3% down, we put in a second lien position, and you pay a monthly payment every month when you pay your mortgage towards that lien, And when it's that paid off, it goes away.
Okay. Well, all right. So you've been how many years in the business?
I've been in business about 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Okay. So you were, I was in real estate back in 2008.
Gotcha.
And went through all that whole rigmarole. Back then, mortgage brokers obviously kind of got a bad reputation. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is fair.
Right. And a lot of that was balloon type mortgages. Kind of walk the listeners through how the mortgage industry has evolved from that time period to now with mortgage programs.
Okay. Well, the largest way it came from is back then they believe a lot of what was happening is because the stated income was used. Can't always use stated income anymore. They want to
be honest,
verify.
I was guilty of that. I was a real estate developer. I don't know what my income really was, but I know what I put down.
Exactly,
right?
And what you put down is what they used.
Right.
And it was just different. But what really happened when Dodd-Frank reform happened throughout the mortgage industry and real estate profession, it really basically allowed us to all go in a check and balance system to make sure that guidelines are followed, and they became a little bit more strict, and they required a little bit more, as they should, because it deals with risk.
Look what happened. People got set up on the refinance loans where they had the balloon payment come due.
Right.
They were counting on having the house sold before then, right?
Right.
And what we've seen since then around here, the folks that listen to us are not super familiar with Baldwin County or the Eastern Shore or everything.
Right.
You've seen good appreciation here, right? But it hasn't gone nuts.
Right.
Right. Yeah, you don't have people flipping homes for twice what they paid for 2 years later, right?
Yeah,
generally speaking.
Yeah, it's a lot more controlled. And what we're seeing currently in our marketplace, if you have a home that's going on the market, the chances of it being there tomorrow are slim.
Right.
I mean, there's not as many homes available for individuals who want to buy right now.
Right.
Whether you're a first-time home buyer or you're an investor, there's a lot more competition there. And it may be an attrition of the rate. The interest rates are really low right now. And it could be, to be honest with you, we live in an amazing place.
Yeah, it's true. Yes. Yeah, we're supposed to keep the secret, in case you didn't know. This looks terrible out there. Was it 70 degrees?
Exactly. And what people call the redneck Riviera, it's paradise here. We have a safe environment, and, it's a good place to raise your children.
Well, they call it the redneck Riviera because where I'm from, that's where everybody vacations. Yeah, so
exactly.
Shout out to Southeast Missouri. We all come down here and ruin it for the rest of y'all. What do you think is the most common misconception for people thinking about a mortgage? Let's start with the first-time mortgage lender, and then we'll dive into FHA. What's some things you hear when they come in the door and they're nervous, they don't know what to ask, what's a misconception they have?
A popular misconception that I hear of and I see every day is, well, I don't have a 700 credit score.
Right.
Not an issue. As long as your credit score is 600 or above, we can get you into a loan based on your debt-to-income ratio, of course. And that is what everybody hears throughout the industry is, well, I need 20% down. That is a nomenclature. You don't need 20% down. There are situations where if you have 20% down, it will be beneficial to you,
right?
But you don't have to. With the rates where they are now and the availability and the ability to buy homes right now as a first-time home buyer or even as a person going to another home, you don't have that situation. And really, a lot of renters are like, well, I can't afford to buy a house. I'm paying this much a month for an apartment or a house that I'm renting. They don't realize it. They can get a little bit bigger of a house or apartment for the same price they're paying every month.
Right. And have that magic word to potentially build up equity.
Oh, equity is number one, especially here in Baldwin County.
Oh, absolutely. You made mention. Now, let's walk listeners through an FHA loan, because I know we'll have some newer people listening to this or watching the video. So how's an FHA loan work?
Basically, an FHA loan works. It's a 30-year fixed payment. They also have a 15-year fixed payment product. And basically, the way it works is the individual finds the home, and it's 3.5% down. So no matter what, they have to come to the closing table with 3.5% down. A lot of times, when it comes to cost, when you're buying a home, you have closing costs and you have prepaids. A lot of times, people might have the 300% down, but they don't have the closing costs and prepaid.
Right.
Well, your agent, from a negotiation perspective, can work the deal in regards to with the seller and the seller's agent to potentially pay for those. And it might be increasing the purchase amount a little bit more to cover that, to put it into the loan.
Okay.
But it's a great way to save them money. And that's just with your first-time home buyer.
For first-time home buyer, especially if they're young and cash-strapped, can they borrow the money? Or is there restrictions on that?
They can borrow it. They can get a gift from a family member or relative. It has to be sourced income. You've probably heard
have
this.
a trail on it.
Right. You probably heard this before, mattress money.
Right.
You can't have mattress money.
Right.
You can't have.
Yeah, people say, I need to bring this cash in and put it in a brokerage account.
Exactly.
Just put it in a check, man. Come on.
Yeah,
Right?
it's got to be seasoned. Basically goes into an account or their bank account for 60 days before you can use it.
Do you have any particular area that you specialize in where you feel very comfortable, you feel like you've got kind of an edge when you're at the table?
At the table, 100% as an Air Force veteran, the veteran loan, the VA loan, the VA home loan, I know inside and out. I'm always learning. There's always things that change within the industry, but I'm on the cutting edge to get whatever information that comes out the day it comes out to make sure our people are taken care of and our heroes are basically it's being paid forward and they have the right information to make it a good decision.
Have you found good traction in the military, armed forces? Is your reputation spread in that industry to, hey, this is a guy you might want to talk to?
I believe so because a lot of veterans take care of other veterans.
Right.
So there's just that special bond that
even
you
Marines
have.
and Air Force?
Marines, Air Force.
So,
I would just had this conversation. It's funny you say this a couple of days ago. I was talking to a Marine, a local Marine that I'm helping out with a home loan. And through that, he was like, well, Ross, he said, I said, I appreciate you, Marine. I said, for some reason, Marines, you guys have always been loyal. You're just loyal people in many situations. And out of all my friends, majority of my friends are Marines. And I said, I don't know why that is because I'm an Air Force guy.
Right.
They're like, well, we're loyal to you. As you take care of us, we'll take care of you. And that bond, I mean, it's just part of their tradition. And that's part of being a Marine.
Yeah, way back in the day when I was much younger, I played basketball on a mostly Marine basketball team. And the league we'd play, we'd play the Army team once a year.
Nice.
And the first time we went to play them, those guys warned me, like, this is going to get a little rough.
Yes.
But when the game's over, we're brothers again. And yeah, I went home. I think I had stitches that game. Yeah, I was pretty beat up. Yeah. I don't want to pick on any company in particular, but and you can tell me if we need to cut this out. But in my line of work, we obviously have competition with Robo Advisors,
right.
Betterments, Wealthfront, I think is a couple of them, and they're fine. They do what they do. You're getting basically kind of a passive style, non-human interface help with your investments. And for some people, that's wonderful. And honestly, the industry's somewhat trending that way a little bit. So you can either fight it or you can figure out how to bring value to your services.
Right.
In your line of work, I saw somebody online the other day on Facebook. Somebody had a pre-approval from, I guess I'll say the company, Rocket Mortgage, and they were teasing a little bit. Like, does that help much coming to the buyer's table with a pre-approval from something like that? Is there really much weight on that compared to actually going out and sitting and talk to somebody?
Well, you got to really. This is where you have to do your due diligence and homework. If someone's going to give you a pre-approval in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, you kind of got to question that.
Right.
Because they don't know your entire story.
Right.
I always say everybody has a story, and it's important to find out all the nuts and bolts of it to get all the information up front, all the documents up front. So when you give an informed decision, when you get a pre-approval letter, you're going to close.
Right.
Because a lot of these big box companies aren't doing that. And what's happening, people are a week or 2 weeks from closing say, oh, I can't do it. I just had one a couple weeks ago. It was another Marine, and I'm not going to say the company. It was a big box company. They pulled out of the deal 1 week before he was supposed to close.
Right.
Him and his wife were going to be homeless.
Because a lot of people, if you're not very familiar with mortgages, a pre-approval is really not even truly a promise necessarily. It's just
Correct.
It's supposed to be a statement that you did a little bit of due diligence. This person should qualify. Should. Doesn't necessarily. And so you'll go to contract on a pre-approval and you'll get within closing. And a lot of times you're in a situation where you've got to have that house.
Right.
Maybe you've already packed up and moved out of the previous house, and you get to closing and you don't have a loan.
Nope.
And you're in trouble. Yeah. So you get calls like that.
I have had many calls like that, and it's just an opportunity to be a problem pretty much be a part of the solution. I always feel like a lot of people you deal with everyday basis where you work, where you run across problems, you run across obstacles. Mm-hmm. That's opportunity, and I've always wanted to be a solution seeker to make sure, hey, this is what we need to do. As long as we check these boxes and get the information we needed, though, there's no reason for them to.
Well, I mean,
not
the
be able
value for guys like you and I come into the fact when everything goes smoothly and easily. I mean, we bring some value to the table. There's a relationship there,
right?
But the real value is what happens when things go sideways,
right?
And in my line of work, obviously things go sideways,
right?
And definitely, I've been in real estate. I've been in a real estate closing that fell apart,
right?
Not even last second, like last second,
right?
And that's time where you got an opportunity to really prove your value. Especially if you're talking about somebody's first home, their dream home, something they worked so hard to do, right? investment property that maybe they got one chance to swing at it.
Right.
Right.
And it's communication. I think communication is key,
Right.
Because whenever you're working with a real estate transaction, you have sometimes 12 or 13 different parties involved with it. If you really get down to it, when it comes to listing agent, buyer, seller, home inspectors, appraiser, mortgage lender, underwriter, you have all these people. And I've always felt like I was more of a liaison, kind of like what I did in the military,
Right.
a liaison to make sure we're all doing what we're supposed to do so we can get to the end goal. And if we all work together and communicate, even when obstacles happen, you just reach out and say, hey, this is where we're at, but this is what we got to do, and to be a part of the solution.
One more question before we go to our break. What are some good, obviously real estate agents are good referral resources for you.
Absolutely.
Who else was a good referral resource? Who do you consider center of influences for your business?
For my business, center of influence is really the relationships I have with people I've helped or people I continue want to help. So really from an ideal referral source, of course, is real estate agents. Mm-hmm. But also you have title companies, insurance companies, anybody within the financial transaction business is a great referral source. But as well, I believe word of mouth, and as long as you continue to do good, good will be brought on to you. And I've followed that philosophy my entire life, and it's done pretty well for me.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
That's right. All right, we're going to take a quick break for station identification. For those of you just joining us here on WABF 1480, this is Focus on the 5, conversations with Baldwin County, Alabama area entrepreneurs and business leaders. I'm your host, Josh Knoll, and I am joined by Ross Sykes, the branch manager for Acopia Home Loans based in Daphne. Now, do you serve just Baldwin County, just Eastern Shore? How far? What's your reach?
The entire state of Alabama.
The entire state of Alabama.
The entire state.
I like that.
A lot of people ask me, well, you should get your license in Mississippi and Florida. I'd love to do that, but really I want to scale my business and be able to offer the same type of relationship and make sure I'm be able to meet the demand for the individuals that need a home or need a loan.
Well, do you feel maybe you've had some closings up northern part of here? Because, again, people don't know this area. Everything's north of us right at this point.
Right.
What do you feel like technology helps you with those relationships if you've got to do things over social media, over email, all that? How does that play?
Technology helps with everything. If you are not on your game when it comes to technology in this day in the world, it will swallow you up.
I agree.
So social media, number one, it works. And it's just pretty much, I think, with anything in life and anything in business, is being persistent. As long as you're persistent and continue to do the right things, it will come back.
And what do you put into it?
Exactly.
If you're putting in junk, and what do you expect to get out of it?
Right.
I obviously in my line of work, I'm a little bit of an anomaly with the online marketing I do, and people say, well, I put stuff up there all the time and I don't get anything out of it. Well, yeah, because you're posting political stuff.
Right.
You're posting something, you're griping about traffic. That's not going to get somebody to engage, say, I need to give that guy some money.
No. I think value. You want to create value with anybody or anything. If you're not creating value, you're not bringing something to the table, then why would somebody do business with you?
Right. Give them an opportunity to form a relationship with you as well.
Absolutely.
Especially if I think one of the things that you're old enough to have seen change is the value, sometimes bringing the value to the table is just the fact that you're freely giving the information.
Right.
Where, especially in my line of work years ago, it used to be held behind these golden doors that, we try to guard, right?
Right.
And so we do a lot of things where this is the information. Even if you take that information and go with someone else, I still provide value, and guess what? Pretty good chance you're going to circle back around to me at some point.
It's pretty awesome too. Now that you said that in regards to age, I'm not announcing what my age is on this radio right now, but I'm 40. Yep. So basically, 40 years of my life. Sometimes when you're going through things, you don't know why you're going through them, why they're happening. I was raised by my grandparents at a young age. They were a lot older than me, so my grandparents, my grandpa and grandma's friends would come over. They'd be right there with me. Mm-hmm. So as I went through life, all of my friends in life were a lot older than me, and I never realized it until the last year. And now as I'm helping borrowers that are a little older than me, sometimes they need their hand held. Sometimes you need to treat them like family, and that's why I was put in that position when I was at that age.
Right.
So it's been amazing.
Well, let's talk about that age. Let's go walk through your journey. You started out in a small town like me.
Small town, Arcadia, Florida.
All right. How big is small to you?
Probably about, I want to say, around 8,000 population.
Oh, that's a metropolis. Are you kidding? That's huge.
No. So you're probably in the sticks, Josh, right?
Well, I was 30 miles east of the sticks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was in the backwoods.
Right.
Right. What was it like growing up there?
It was amazing. Small town feel. Everybody knew everybody. You couldn't do anything wrong because they'd be calling your grandpa, calling your grandma, said, "Hey, I seen Ross doing this."
Little Rossi's not being a good boy.
No, he wasn't. But I was actually a good boy because my one thing is I never wanted to disappoint other people.
Sure.
And that's one thing. I think it was the respect that I had for my grandparents. I don't want to disrespect them or the name. But I used to always joke, like whenever I was in high school, whenever I was dating, right? You're a teenager, you're dating. Mm-hmm. I used to ask my potential date what their last name was first, so I know if I'm kin to them or not. That's how small of the town it was. Honestly, that's how small the town was. But it was really, backroots. It's got a small river that runs through the town. It's very small. It's in the middle of cattle country and citrus industry. So you had orange groves and cattle everywhere. And I spent my weekends and evenings. If I wasn't helping my grandpa with his business, I was out hunting, fishing, or enjoying the outdoors.
Love it. All right. It says here you were a music major coming out.
Yes. I started playing music, actually trumpet in third grade. And that was something, no matter what I was going through, I always had that to go to. And I I played music for about 24 years. Eventually went in and started playing trombone. And that's how I got my full ride to the University of South Florida playing music. So I was a music performance major. And I played in the orchestra.
At that point you realized there might not be much money in this?
Well, it was money, the starving artist part, to be honest with you. Right. I was young. Who doesn't like money when you're young? But I think the other part of it, I found that it was more of a hobby for me, more than it was a profession.
Right.
I loved it, and I felt like I did well in it. It got me to college, but it was a hobby. So I didn't want to mix that with what I really want to do in life.
Take the joy out of it sometimes.
Right.
At what point then did the Air Force come into play?
The Air Force came into play. I was in my sophomore year at the University of South Florida, and I met another buddy, William Hunter, on the basketball courts out there playing intramural back in the Chicago Bull heydays.
That's right.
So basically, I met him. We started talking. He was like, my dad, he's a commander in the Air Force, so I met his dad. A lot of respect for him. And through that, he said, I'm going to join the service. I said, I've always wanted to join too. So we actually joined the same day. He chose Marine Corps. I chose Air Force. And the reason he chose Air Force, he told me later, he said, well, all my family was Air Force, and I want to do something different.
And that's why he went Marines?
Right. And then whenever he got out of the Marine Corps from boot camp, he was like, man, I should have joined the Air Force. Exactly what he said to me. But we kept that lifelong friendship, and eventually I got out. He got out as well, and he went back in. He's still serving as an officer right now within the naval career field. But really, I just wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself.
How many years did you serve?
I served 8 years.
8 years. Now, when you came out, then you went back to college.
No.
I read that wrong.
I was taking college classes.
Oh, you were? You were doing both at the time.
I was mostly doing online. So to begin with, I joined the reserves. As an Air Force Reserve, I did aeromedical evacuation. So I always like to say I spoke Spanish when I was in the Air Force, because I was even on a C-130, C-17, a C-9. I mean, any aircraft with a C on it. So I was a C. So basically, that was my time when I first got into the military, and then I was recruited with Special Operations Command, which later became the wireless manager for Special Operations.
Okay.
Which was amazing.
Well, so you served, and then you served overseas. I mean, you were...
No. My job, I basically was direct support. So basically, the commander and the scene communicators, wherever they went, they needed communication, right?
That was you.
So throughout the headquarters and anybody from a comm perspective, I provided comm.
What led you to is it MBIB? Is that how I say
MBIB.
that? Okay.
Originally it was Office of Personnel Management, which went into National Background Investigations Bureau. I got out of the military, and just like a lot of us, when you first get out, you just feel lost.
Sure.
And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I actually managed some enterprise rent-a-car offices in Tampa, Florida for about a year and a half. And one of the guys in there is like, hey, I'm leaving to go do some background investigations for the government. And he said, you should come with me. And he was going as a contractor. And I said, well, you go give it a try. Let me know how stable it is and come back. So 6 months later, he came back. He said, it's perfect. You need to try it out. Gave my resume, went through year-long training, made it through everything, and I became a contract investigator for the government for about 3 years before I was picked up and became a special agent assigned to Miami which eventually transferred me up here to Baldwin County.
You were there 13 years.
13 years of doing background investigations.
In Miami.
I was in Miami for 3 of those years, and I was up here for the rest.
We don't have enough time to talk about the stuff you saw.
No.
Well, but all right, so but it did get you stationed here.
Correct.
I don't know how far away Arcadia, Florida is, but were you familiar with Fairhope, Daphne, Eastern Shore?
I was, actually. Remember I told you when I was younger I loved to fish and hunt?
Yes.
Well, I had an uncle that lived in Stapleton, Alabama, right here in Baldwin County.
Okay.
And he taught me how to deer hunt at an early age. So every December, whenever I was out of school for that winter break, I would come up here and go hunting with him. And I just fell in love with the area. And that was since I was young. I was a young teenager. So that's what brought me here. And there's no other place I'd want to be.
Were you married already at that point?
No.
Oh, so you met your wife here too?
I met my fiance here.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was married, previous marriage. So basically from there, I eventually met my fiance, and it's been
Is she local,
amazing.
homegrown?
She's local, homegrown. Not River local, mostly Mobile County.
Okay.
She grew up in Theodore, Alabama, and she's actually a third grade teacher over in Orchard Elementary in Mobile.
What's her name? We'll
School.
give her a shout out.
Brianna Toller.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. She's a nice lady.
I got some brownie points.
I try to every time I can.
Gotcha.
Well, I know, and that leads me because I know community and family are very important to you. So let's talk about community involvement first, and let's talk about your family before we start wrapping up.
Okay. Community involvement. I'm heavily involved in the Eastern Shore Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually just became the chairman of the ambassador program.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But it's really just amazing. The relationships of the people I've met has just been every day. I always felt like every day you meet somebody new is a good day, right? So through that, I'm being able to be actively involved in the community, know what's going on within the community, but also heavily involved within the veterans community, whether it's the Marine Corps League or assisting out equine therapy group or Team River Runner, any of the local nonprofits, because they're not Air Force based, but they're veteran based. So if there's a veteran that's in need, if I can't help them, I have resources that can.
Perfect. Church involvement too?
Church involvement. I go to church every Sunday. Not really actively involved in the church as of right now, but I just believe.
But faith has played a big part in your life.
Huge. Just a quick story or whatnot, and I got to give props to my son. He's stepson, but he's my son, Brantley Toller. November we started in church, and every night around the dinner table, each kid says the prayer before we eat supper. Well, about a month and a half ago, it was his turn to do prayer, and usually they're like, "Hey, God, thank you for this food.
Good God,
Amen.
Good meat. Let's
time
eat."
to eat, yeah, or something like that. Yeah. And he said, "Thank you for this food, and I appreciate what you've done for us, and you sacrificing your life on the cross for us." And I was like, "Wow,
damn,
wow."
Kids paying attention.
Yeah, so it's like it just shows you if you're around the right people, around the right organizations, and have your heart and mind in the right place, it would always take care of you.
No, that's very well said.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: how do people find you? How do they contact you?
Best way to reach me is you can give me a call at 251-509-7791. I'm also on Facebook. Reach out on me, Ross Sykes. I'm mortgage loan advisor, and I go by the hashtag @YourMortgageGuy.
@YourMortgageGuy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's how they find you on Facebook.
Correct.
Okay.
So pretty much that's the best ways, or you can reach me via email, rsykes, RSYKES, @AcopiaHomeLoans.com.
And Acopia is ACOP. I don't have my glasses on.
ACOPIA.
Yeah, this is just a big blur.
Gotcha.
I've done it so many times. I kind of figure out my writing a little bit.
Gotcha.
What you got any upcoming promotions? Any special events you want to announce?
Got some really cool things. March 18th, we're going to be at the Gulf Coast Real Estate Expo over at the Orange Beach Event Center over there, which is going to be awesome.
What's there? What's happening?
Basically, it's a real estate expo to where they have.
Oh, that's a big one.
What's
the name of that one?
It's the Gulf Coast Real Estate Expo.
Right.
So we have that one. Also,
you have a booth there?
We will have a booth there.
Perfect.
Eastern Shore Business Expo, right here on April 23rd.
Is that City Hall?
That's going to be right here. Yeah, right there, City Hall.
Understood.
So we're going to be there, and as well as April 23rd morning, we are actually feeding the Daphne PD breakfast. So just a way of giving back for them making the sacrifice so we can have a safe community.
Yeah, they're a great group.
Oh, they're awesome.
We've got good I've been in areas where it wasn't as good. It's great support around here.
Right. And I got a plug, if you don't mind.
Please, absolutely.
May 16th at the Equine Therapy Group in Stapleton, Alabama. Once a year, me and a few other veterans, we get together and we do a barbecue for veterans and their families. And there's no reason behind it other than just a day to come out and hang out. And we have a live band. We have free food. It's our third year doing it, and this year is going to be steak. So
Nice.
it's a good ambition and grows every year. But if you and your family aren't doing anything from 11 to 2 on that day, come out to Equine Therapy Group and have a meal on us, and as well sit back, bring your lawn chair, and listen to some live music.
I bet the positive feeling and buzz you get from that lasts for a long time.
Oh, I tell you, what it does for my heart is why I do it.
Love it. Lori, you miss anything?
I think you got it.
Thank God. All right. Well, if you're a regular listener to the show, then you know that we also film our conversation and release it on YouTube, Facebook, and my website, GulfCoastFA.com. Of course, Ross will have it too out there. So if you're watching this video and you'd like to reach out to either Ross or myself, feel free to send us a message. And I always remind you to remember to support local, because local supports you. Lastly, if you're a Baldwin County area entrepreneur or business person and you'd like to have a conversation like this one, reach out to me. You'll find my contact info at the end of the show. In closing, I want to thank my guest, Ross Sykes of Acopia Home Loans. You did a great job.
Thank you,
Mr.
Josh.
Smooth. I meant
Thank
to warn
you.
her. Yeah,
Thank
super smooth. For joining us today. Also thank our producer, Lori DeBose, as well as all you out there that are listening. I'm Josh Knoll, Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, and this has been Focus on the 5. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Yay!
Thank you for listening to Focus on the 5. If you are interested in learning more about Josh Knoll and Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, you can find us at GulfCoastFA.com. Call 251-327-2124, email josh.knoll@GulfCoastFA.com, or message us on Facebook.
Advisory services offered through Prime Capital Investment Advisors, LLC, PCIA, a federally registered investment advisor. PCIA, doing business as Prime Capital Wealth Management and Qualified Plan Advisors. PCIA and Gulf Coast Financial Advisors are not affiliated. All information presented is for educational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities.